Hey everyone, how we doing today? We're the real estate ladies of North Atlanta, Mary Ellen Vanock and Susan Jennings. How are you, Sue,
Mhm.
today?
I'm fine. How are you, Mary Ellen?
We're doing good. So we're going to talk today about why have a home inspection,
Oh boy.
because this is a subject that is a must home inspection when we have one. So why
hmm
should you have one? What does it include? What should you be looking at? And then we're going to talk about a community, Windsor Bluffs and Cumming. We're going
hmm
to talk about what we love about North Atlanta, which is neighborhoods and different personalities. And
hmm
then we're going to have our design tip of the day. So let's start with the neighborhood highlights, Sue. Let's go about with Windsor Bluffs and Cumming.
Well, Windsor Bluffs is a new community being built off of
Mm,
Sharon Road in Cumming. These are over 55 active adult community homes, which means that they're going to be master on the main. Some of them might have a second floor with a loft or something like that, but they're predominantly ranch style homes and
okay.
they are priced from the 800s.
Okay.
So the nice thing about this community is it is gated. They have about 43 lots. Some of those are already sold, but there's still
Okay.
some available. They have a beautiful clubhouse and, of course, pickleball.
Oh,
Uh,
pickleball. We're always going
pickleball,
to talk about pickleball, pickleball,
right?
pickleball, pickleball. That seems to be, I guess, after tennis, people do pickleball. Although so many young people are getting into pickleball and they never played
hmm
tennis, so very interesting. So,
hmm
and what I do love about that area is it's such a great location because you're right off
hmm
141 there, and you got all the shops and restaurants, and
Right.
everything around there is nice. So, I think one thing we do need to talk about here is um, if you're 62 and above in Forsyth
hmm
County, you actually save money on your school taxes. So a lot of
hmm
older people over 62 will move to the area because they're want to be hanging out with their grandkids, right? So everybody wants
Right.
to go to all their activities with their grandkids. So we do see a lot of 55 and older popping up in Forsyth County
hmm
because you get to save money on taxes. Now, taxes here in Georgia are nothing compared to up in New York and the Northeast. So take it with a grain of salt because people think taxes are high here, and I'm like, you never lived in New York. So
They really
you never
aren't.
lived in the Northeast, or you never lived in California. So anyway, take it all with a grain of salt. But if you are over 62, you can apply to get your school taxes. You don't have to pay them in Forsyth County, so your taxes are a little less. So that's why people are moving to Forsyth County. All right.
Right. Right.
So enough about that. Let's dig into our topic of the day is why do we need a home inspection?
hmm
And what does it include, or what should we be looking at? And let's fire away, Sue.
Right. Well, a home inspection is generally done during the due diligence period after the home goes under contract, so that anything that comes up in a home
Mhm.
inspection can be put on an amendment to address concerns during the due diligence period and
Right.
negotiated with the seller and the buyer as to, what's going to be repaired and to what degree it's going to be repaired. So here's why it's important to have a home inspection. First of all, we want to uncover any possible issues, hidden or not. We want to reveal any defects or problems that may not be obvious when you first viewed the home. The second reason why we want to have a home inspection is we want to negotiate those repairs for either price reductions or have the repairs done. The buyer can request that the seller address these concerns, maybe lower the price or do the repairs during, prior to closing, but this all needs to be done during due diligence.
Okay, let's just talk about it. People like they might not know
Mhm.
what is due
What
diligence.
is due
So let's talk
diligence?
about due diligence. What is due
Okay.
diligence?
So due diligence is a preset period of time that was established in the contract, in the purchase and sale agreement of the home. And everybody has to sign an agreement on a purchase and sale agreement with all the
Mhm.
exhibits and so forth attached to it. And one of those line items is the number of days after binding agreement date, when everybody has signed, that the buyer will be able to inspect the property and come back to the seller to ask for any repairs or amendments of any sort.
And just so you know, in the state of Georgia, if you're in due diligence during your, 5 day, 7 day, 10 day, whatever you decide on due diligence period, you can terminate a contract for any reason
Mhm.
and get your earnest money back. So that's the state of Georgia. Every
Right.
state's different. So if people are listening from other states, they're moving here, why should we have an inspection? This is the reason why.
Right.
And one more thing I do want to touch on before we move on is, well, a new construction house. Why would I need a home inspection on that? So Sue, let's talk about that for just a second.
Well, I have sold a lot of new construction over the last
15 years.
11 years, 15 years, whatever it's been that I've been in this crazy business.
Yeah.
And I have had as many as one new construction home inspection report. I had 28 items that needed to be repaired that were
Yes.
either not up to code or done improperly or done poorly. And what we do with that in that case, when it's new construction, is we take the entire report, we hand it over to the builder and say, fix everything. Because the home's under warranty anyway. It's gonna end up on his 3, 6, or 9 month repair request report from the new owner if he doesn't do it up front. So
Yeah.
a
And
lot of times
also,
it's easier
yeah,
for them to do it before it
sure.
gets into warranty.
Sure. And then another thing, if you do have a new construction, you can also do a pre-wall inspection, which I strongly suggest as well. If your house is like being built from the ground up, sometimes it's already past that stage. And I would have the inspector come in, same thing, to check, make sure all the electrical and other things are proper in the house. And that's what I would suggest too. All right. So now that I'm off my soapbox.
So basically what Mary Ellen just said is that a home inspection will give you a clear understanding of the home's condition and help you avoid unexpected surprises later on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Basically.
And also, she mentioned in there about electrical and so forth. So the other purpose of the home inspection is to ensure safety. An inspector will check for safety hazards, faulty wiring, structural issues, potential plumbing issues.
And also I think everyone has to understand is they do an overview.
Mhm.
And then if they suggest that we have to bring in a plumber or a roofer or a pool person or a septic person or whatever, then we bring the specialized person
Licensed, qualified
in that
plumber,
specific thing. So
electrician.
home inspector looks at the overall of everything, gives
Right.
you a report, and then if we have to dig in and get more information from a plumber or an electrician or a roofer or whatever, then we will have the professional come out and give a quote or whatever that needs to be done. So, or a structural engineer, because we've had that before.
Right, we have had that before. So what can you learn from a home inspection? Like we said, you can learn about the structural integrity of the foundation, the walls, the roof, and other structural components. You can learn about the plumbing and the electrical systems and, learn about any potential leaks, wiring issues, or outdated systems that aren't to code any longer. You can have your HVAC system evaluated for the efficiency of the heating, the cooling, and the potential age of the unit itself. We can bring in roofers. Usually a roofer will do a free inspection. Sometimes they won't walk on the roof. They'll just do a visual inspection, but they will tell you the condition of the shingles, the flashing, the gutters, and the overall roof structure. Another thing we do as a regular inspection is to inspect for termites here in Georgia, because I always say there's 2 types of homes in Georgia. The ones that have termites and the ones that are going to have termites are the two different kinds of homes. But anyway, we want to know if there's been any active termite infestation, wood destroying organisms in a particular property, or any other pest infestations of any sort. And so that's why we want to do a termite inspection and get a termite bond if we possibly can. The other thing your home inspector will look at for you are your appliances. They'll tell you the condition of the appliance in general, especially if the appliance is included in the sale of the home. That's something important for you to know. And then we also want to look for any moisture or water damage in the foundation, in the basement, anywhere else in the home. We had a townhouse one time that had some water on the front wall of the home because it was on a slab, but yet water was still getting into the home. So we want to look at things that could indicate a bigger potential problem. So when we get this report back, Mary Ellen,
Yes.
do we go back to the seller and ask for everything on the report?
Absolutely not.
What
And
do
a
we
lot
ask
of
for,
things,
Mary Ellen?
a lot of things on that report are little itty bitty things that can be taken care of by a handyman that you can hire and take care of things. So what I do say to people is I say, pick your top 3 items that are concerns to you.
Mhm.
And if there's another one, that's fine, but we're not going to have 100 items or 42 items, because an inspector will go in and they'll inspect of what the code is today. If you have a house that's 30 years old, it was a different code then. So of course there's going to be problems, right?
Mhm.
So it might just be updating some of the electric or some of the plumbing or whatever. So
Mhm.
I always tell everyone 3 items. And I give them the report and I say, you give me your 3 items. And then I go look at the report and I have my 3 items in my head. And then I see what they say. And then if there's something that I think is just as important or more important, I will put that into the mix and say, well, you know what? Is this a concern for you? Because I think that this is going to be a concern in the future. So maybe this is something we should get taken care of right now.
Mhm.
And I know one more thing we did not talk about is that we talked about all these inspections. You got a pool, you have a roof and this and that. Now, some houses have septic tanks and some are on sewer lines.
Mhm.
So if you do have a septic tank, the inspector can also test the septic, but we
Mhm.
also can have a professional come in. We also can ask for them to pump the septic if we in the disclosure see how it's like every 3 to 5 years it should be pumped to make sure that it's serviced before you bring in. So that's another thing that people get all nervous about septic, but it's just you have to just maintain it just like anything else.
Mhm.
So that's another item that is important, and us as realtors are going to tell you it's important, and it should be addressed.
So, Mary Ellen, there are a lot of different types of inspections that we can do during a due diligence period. In addition to the
Sure.
general home inspection, we can do, like you mentioned, the septic inspection, or we can do a pool inspection. We can also do a radon inspection. Many people might not know what radon is, but it is an odorless gas that comes up through the ground. We see it frequently in the Canton area because there's a lot of like granite fields and so forth in the soil in that area of North Georgia. But you can have it in one house and maybe not in the house next door. So it's very erratic, but it can be remediated. It's not something that should kill a deal by any means because it can be remediated. We can also, like we mentioned before, we can do roof inspections, termite inspections, mold inspections. We had a home a couple years ago, somebody was very, very sensitive and had allergies and asthma. So they had the home mold inspected. And actually, the basement came up as having mold. And we were like, wow, this is really interesting. Visually, like I cannot see any of this mold. And then we realized the mold, as we we looked at the a basement even further. Actually, I didn't look at it. The expert looked at it. Our
Yeah.
inspector looked at it. He was able to target it to one piece of antique furniture that was in the basement that was actually spewing spores into the air. So, but that had to be taken care of and so forth before closing. We can have, like Mary Ellen said, the septic inspections, sewer line inspections, lead paint inspections, foundation inspections, and chimney inspections.
Yeah, and another thing, like lead-based paint, just so everybody knows, it's usually homes that are built before 1978. And a lot of the area in North Atlanta, the homes are much newer than that. So we don't address it as much. As you go towards the city, you're going to have some of those type of lead-based paint disclosures that you have to fill out, and but not so much in the North Atlanta area. And then if you have an irrigation system, they can inspect that too. So you can have everything inspected. So during that due diligence, you have the home inspector come in, but if we have to have other people come in, we can extend due diligence, or we can we get everything done as during that period of time.
Absolutely. So anything else you can think of, Mary Ellen?
No, I think we handled pretty much why you need an inspection, what it entails. Okay, how much does it really cost for inspections? I know that they're all over the place, but if you take, I mean, I would say like anywhere from like just to get an inspector is like between 500 and 750. Like I was just I like to make it a little higher too. And as different things, a radon is going to be on top of that, maybe $150 to $200. And they come in, they bring a machine, and they put it in the house for 3 days, and then they see if there's any radon. They have it tested. So everything kind of has a cost to it. So really put that in your budget too as well, that maybe just budget about $1,000. It's going to be less than that, but I was just saying in case you have to have other people come out and check other things.
Right. So a lot of these, in addition to the general home inspection, which is probably about 500, you can add on these additional inspections, like for the pool, the radon, and so forth. And that's what will, run the price up maybe closer to $1,000. So just so it's kind of, menu pricing, if you want to call it that, based upon what you
square footage of the house
inspection.
too. Does it have a basement? That kind of stuff. So
Right.
Just gives you a ballpark. We're not quoting any specific numbers, but we're just saying in a ballpark that's kind of what you're going to spend for a home inspection.
Right.
And totally worth it. Even if you're in multiple offers and you're deciding to not have due diligence and you're rolling the dice, still have an inspection, because at least if there's any issues in the house, what should you be looking for if you're like just walking in a house too? Like, a first-time home buyer walks in a house, before you get an inspector there, what's good things to look at? The roof, to look for any water, any staining on waters, to make sure the lighting looks good. Just
cracks in the ceiling or cracks in the wall.
Yeah, those are things are big things. Everything else is going to be little handyman type items, caulking, make sure the toilets are not running, and that kind of stuff. So I think a lot of that stuff is it's the major things is what you really have to look at and worry about. So
yeah, we want to look at structural and fire hazards and any
safety
systems that might be at risk.
Right. And safety issues, because you don't want anything happening on a safety issue. Okay. So we just talked about home inspections, why you need to do them, what they entail. And you have any questions, let us know about that. So we're going to talk about, what do we love about North Atlanta today? All the different neighborhoods have different personalities. I know that's really strange, but it is so true. So Sue, give us an example of different personality neighborhoods.
Well, I would say that, for instance, Milton is known as an equestrian area with a lot of farms and things like that. But if you go down to Decatur, you might be in maybe a little bit older area that's walkable to unique restaurants and boutiques and things like that. So you know, it's Atlanta is made up of a series of neighborhoods for sure, and all the neighborhoods are a little bit different. Some of these neighborhoods have large homes and gated communities, and some of them are, more in town, smaller, townhouses or condos, things like that. So you have to really think about, what kind of lifestyle you want as to which area you'd like to live in and what's important to you. I always ask my buyers, what's important to you?
Yeah, that's a great question to always ask.
Mhm.
What's important to you? And what I find too is even in the Alpharetta area, you have different neighborhoods with
Mhm.
different personalities depending on if it's a huge neighborhood like Windward, you have a totally
Mhm.
different mix than if you have a smaller, Crooked Creek is smaller than Windward. So you're going to have still two kind of gated communities with golf courses and stuff, but you're going to have different mixes. And what
Right.
I've found in Atlanta, which is so unique, is that you will have like your next door neighbors can be empty nesters. Your next door neighbors can be newlyweds. Your next door neighbors can have 5 kids. It's like a mix of everything. It's not like
Mhm.
one neighborhood is just going to be all single people or one neighborhood's going to be all empty nesters, unless you're in a 55 and older. Okay, I'm not talking about that, but in all the neighborhoods, you're going to have those different personalities that come out. And like Milton, you have like the equestrians and people have land, so you're going to have a different type of neighborhood mix. And then you get into
Mhm.
Alpharetta, then you get in towards the city, you're going to have something different. So yeah, personality. I mean, why did you pick? So Sue, when you moved here, your husband was working at Georgia Tech and you moved
Mhm.
all the way up to the suburbs. And why did
Right.
you do that? Because
I needed a great high school for our daughters. And so I did my research, and that was my top priority, was a great high school for our girls. And we narrowed it to, 3 high schools in the area and bought a home in one of those high school areas.
so you really just have to know yourself. So there's the different
Mhm.
personalities. That's what we really love about North Atlanta. So let's go into what design tips do we have for today?
We have two. Again, the first one is to embrace white space. You don't have to decorate every corner of your home, in other words. Negative or blank space or blank walls
Mhm.
can really give you a space to like rest. It's not busy. It's embracing negative space and cutting down the clutter sometimes can draw more attention to the other items that you have put on display.
Okay, that's a good one. I do
Yeah.
like that. Every
Mhm.
place, every single inch of your house doesn't need to be decorated. I get that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And also, my next tip is to weave in some sentimental objects. So, if you have that handmade clock or that handmade item that's been in the family for years, embrace it. Even though, the rest of your home might be modern, it's okay. Mix in that one unique piece, incorporate things that you already own. And, these are family heirlooms, maybe things that you love that just give you some security in your home. And, maybe there are items, Mary Ellen, you travel a lot. Maybe there are items you picked up traveling that you want to
Sure.
display in your home. Things that make you smile, things that bring you good memories. So, decorate with at least one of those sentimental objects in your
And you know
rooms.
what? And just talking about sentimental, I think what was really important is that as a kid, when my grandparents both passed away, my mom and my dad were like, "Hey, pick one item, sentimental
Mhm.
item from their estate or whatever." And I still have all those things. Like it was like from my grandmother, it was like candlesticks, and it was just something that is so sentimental. But yet you
Mhm.
can have it outside your china closet. You don't have to even have. I mean. some people don't even have china closets anymore but put it out on your kitchen table, put it out on your dining room table, because it brings back great memories of your childhood. So even though might not be my style right now, or the style of my house, it's just the sentimental value of it.
Right.
And
Right.
we don't have a million things from our grandparents, but we have one or two things. And I think that that's really important to just embrace that, and to carry on your legacy too.
Your culture of your family too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those were good tips. So have some white space, and then take some sentimental things and mix them in your house, so that you're looking at it. It's just not sitting in a box, right? Who wants stuff sitting in a box? No, you want to take it out and display it, especially if it brings you joy, right? If it doesn't bring you joy, then I don't know what to do with it. I wouldn't say. If it doesn't bring you joy, I don't know, then put it in a box. But honestly, I think anything sentimental is going to bring some kind of great memory back from your childhood, from your family, from your legacy, and just kind of go with that. And we all like that kind of stuff. So that was great today. We talked about home inspections, a new neighborhood. We talked about the neighborhood personalities in North Atlanta, and some great tips today. So thanks for all your information, Sue. We really enjoyed it. And follow us on socials, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.